Let's move on to player ratings, which will start off with Vicario. Sim gives him a 7. I gave him a 6. I mean, I think he made 5 or 6 saves during the game, and he was a key reason why at half-time we weren't completely out of sight, why there wasn't 4, 5, 6. Because that's how many good chances that Liverpool did have yesterday, and Vicario was brilliant at that. Albeit, I do think that he should have done a bit better with some of the goals that we did concede.
Apart from the first one, what one do you reckon he could have done better with? The second one, maybe?
I think, I can't remember which one it was.
Elliott's was
yeah, when he just completely palmed it out to Robertson. I thought
that's
that
the second
was poor.
goal. Yeah, I hear that. I thought he did well just to get to the.
Yeah, he did. But
so,
you got to palm it out of sight at least.
I think that's on the defenders more than Vicario. Vicario is saving a shot just outside the 6-yard.
Look, I'm not saying that it's not on the defenders. I completely agree. Porro should be getting to Robertson quicker as well, but I think Vicario should be doing better at that aspect.
I don't blame him, but I think he definitely should be doing better than the first one. Salah's header was. I know it's a close range, but it's not the best header. He could have kept that out. He wasn't able to. The second one, I think he does well just to get down to Salah's shot, and I think the defenders should be reacting and helping him. Then we're talking about a good save rather than him having to palm it out further. I thought he made a number of really good saves throughout the game to keep us in it. And if it wasn't for him at points, it could have been a lot worse.
Caught a corner as well.
He did. So I don't think it was a bad display from Vicario.
That was one thing that we were much better at this game, was defending from set pieces and defending from corners, because you're coming up against Trent Alexander-Arnold or Virgil van Dijk as well. And I thought we completely changed up how we defended corners, and it was a lot better, wasn't it? So I guess that's something that Ange's changing.
Well, and I think that proves Ange's point, though, that set pieces isn't the priority.
Yeah, definitely. Well, specifically when he makes changes like that. But let's move on to Pedro Porro. Sim gives him a 6. I gave him a 5. I thought he was defensively poor pretty much throughout, especially in the first 60 minutes. Positional play I thought was really bad. Going forward, I remember one good ball he made for Brennan Johnson, but apart from that, I thought he was fairly poor, to be honest.
I thought he made some really good passes actually in the middle, especially there was some to Bentancur, which were really good, set us on really good attacks. There was there was a couple in the second half to Richarlison in behind, which were really good, and we could have had a lot more. And obviously there was a good cross there for Brendan Johnson, who could have headed that home. I thought by and large
he just kept giving the ball away though, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, no less than anyone else, no more than anyone else, I should say. Sorry. I thought it was okay. Defensively, it was a difficult day for him, for sure. But what I would say is he definitely kept Diaz quieter than Salah on the other side. I don't think Diaz had as much joy against Porro as Salah was getting, but he wasn't comfortable, that's for sure, and he got caught out a few times. But I don't think he was one of the weaker players, so I gave him a 6.
Cuti Romero up next. Sim gives him a 5. I gave him a 6. I feel like with Romero, he was actually, as much as he didn't have a really strong game like we have seen in the past, he was one of the players that didn't give up, and he was showing the fundamentals throughout the game. That goal with Gakpo's goal, I think he should be doing a lot better in terms of challenging him in the air. But I thought he was putting in good challenges. That one save off the line as well from Cuti Romero.
From Elliott, yeah.
So I think like the fundamentals were there with Cuti. It just wasn't one of his best games.
Yeah, I agree. I think some of his passing was really sloppy, putting us in really dangerous situations. There was one which really annoyed me, just a very careless pass on the halfway line when we're on the attack, and the ball gets cleared to him, and he just volleys it straight to, I think it was Salah, and puts like him one-on-one with Mickey van der Ven, and luckily we dealt with the situation. But there was a certain carelessness to Romero yesterday, which I think when that seeps into his game, it can cost us dearly, and I think on a few occasions nearly did. He did do some good stuff, as you said, and I don't think he ever stopped giving up. He was very aggressive, and obviously did some really good things with his tackling and with his passing, but I just thought there was a certain carelessness to Romero yesterday, which was not like him.
Yeah, and obviously got in that little tiff with Emerson at half-time. Did you see that live in the game?
I did, yeah.
At the stadium. What were you thinking about it there?
Yeah, I was wondering what was, obviously, I don't know what was said, but Vicario had to rush over and split them up. I just think Romero was very frustrated with potentially with Emerson in that first half, because he wasn't able to deal with Mo Salah. What I would say is, we'll get into Emerson, I guess, but I can understand his frustration, but I don't think it's totally Emerson's fault.
Mickey van der Ven up next. Sim gives him a 7. I gave him a 6. Not his best performance by any stretch of the imagination, but really some good challenges in there, last-ditch challenges like you like to see. But, I mean, what was going on with that chance for Mo Salah in the second half late on where, I mean, it looks like just an easy ball for Van der Ven to deal with, and he just leaves it and lets Salah have an open goal. I was like, what the hell is going on here?
I think what I assume happened is he didn't realise Salah was there, so he was leaving it for Vicario to pick up, and he didn't realise that Salah was right behind him, and so he leaves it. Then Salah has a free shot. Luckily, Salah miscued it. So that was a bit of a brain fart moment from him. I thought by and large he barely made many mistakes, to be honest. I thought he was one of the ones who was a bit more assured, looking confident. I thought he had a pretty solid display, to be honest. I don't think he did too much badly. But also, I don't think he was exceptional in anything he did much.
Yeah. Emerson Royale up next. 3s all round for Emerson. Look, let's get it right, because he did do a couple of good things in the game, putting in some good challenges in key areas. But, I mean, he was just all over the shop, let's be real. At left back, not his favoured role. Just so poor, so poor. I think he had his hand in 3 of the goals that we conceded. The first one, I mean, that is one of the worst bits of defending I've ever seen. I mean, he's just standing there at the back post, and he just lets Salah drift in behind him so easily with not a care in the world. He's not looking behind him, no awareness, no nothing. And for the other goals, he's just not aggressive enough against the guys getting the crosses in the box. And whoever was on that side, whether it be Salah, whether it be Elliott, whether it be Trent, just had a complete field day. And it was music to all our ears when he got taken off.
What I would say about Emerson, as bad as he was when he was bad, he didn't get much help. And I think that Johnson has to definitely take a bit of responsibility for that. I think the midfielders have to take responsibility for that. I think he was getting continually outnumbered on that side, and he was getting torn to shreds. But what I would say is when he was in one-on-one situations, he barely won a duel. Salah was completely taking him to the cleaners. There was one moment in the second half when he did win the duel against Salah, and then he had no awareness to where Elliott was, so he just runs straight into Elliott, and then he sets up another goal. He just couldn't do anything right really yesterday, apart from on a few occasions where Liverpool looking to counter. He did win a couple of duels, but you know, when you win 2 in 10 and they create a chance from those other 8 times, it's hard to say that, you know, that's worth the 2 he won. So terrible display from Emerson, and then obviously on the ball offered absolutely nothing. In fact, he was very sloppy and put us in a lot of difficult situations on the ball as well. So difficult day for Emerson, rightfully taken off, and I hope that's his last start of the season.
He should have got taken off at half-time. That's the reality. I thought Ange made that change a bit too late. You could all see at half-time how much he was struggling. And you say, hopefully that's his last display of the season. I mean, I definitely want to see him come out of the team next week against Burnley. But I think if he is going to be leaving in the summer, which we all hope he is, I think it's only right to give him a final send-off against Man City.
As captain.
As captain, yeah.
Put him in goal.
Next up, let's move into the midfield, is Pape Matar Sarr. 4s all round for him. And I don't know what's wrong with Sarr at the moment, because we're seeing these similar traits every single game from him now of recent weeks, where he's just so sloppy on the ball, giving the ball away in such bad positions. And yeah, he's really energetic. He's running around a lot. But apart from that, I fail to see what he's actually giving to the team at the moment, because these moments where he's just so sloppy and letting Liverpool come on top of him, lazy, getting back as well at times. I mean, it's just not the Sarr that we saw first half of the season, nowhere close to.
Yeah, and he used to offer a bit of offensive ability as well. That's completely gone out of his game. And then when he's not offering, you know, that coverage that he used to, or he's being a lot sloppier than he used to be, then all of a sudden becomes a bit of a problem. I remember a few moments in the first half where we actually played some really good football through the midfield. Then the ball would go to Sarr, and he would sloppily give it away and put us under pressure. And all of a sudden, you know, Liverpool would create chances off the back of it. Another poor display. He's, again, along with his fellow midfielders, he's been quite poor for a number of weeks now, especially since the reports of that back injury. He really hasn't got back to the levels that he used to show. Since the Villa game, to be honest, where he was brilliant, he's been terrible in pretty much every game. And I can't understand what. Well, maybe he is suffering from injury. Maybe that's what it is. But he's definitely not himself at the moment, and he's suffering with a serious lack of form.
Yeah. Moving on to Bissouma. 5s all round for Bis. Probably our best midfielder on the day. That just shows you how poor we actually were. And me and Barnaby on the watch along were sitting here before Liverpool got their first goal. When did they score their first goal? 15 minutes, 20 minutes, something like that. And before they got the goal, we were both sitting here saying, oh, Bissouma started really bright here. He's looking good on the ball. He's looking energetic. But as soon as Liverpool scored, you saw those bad traits seep back into his game. Lazy getting back, defensively a liability, lacking the fundamentals. Once we did make those changes in the second half, I felt he got I wouldn't say dominated, but looked a lot better on the ball than what he was in the last stage of the second half and the early stages of the last stage of the first half and the early stages of the second half. But you can be as good as you want on the ball, but when you're lacking the fundamentals and not getting back and not chasing lost causes and just looking lazy and lethargic, you're always going to be marked down for that. Definitely,
and on a few occasions as well, especially I think for the first goal and the fourth goal, he has to, like, when you see a Liverpool player cutting inside and he's about to wind up a cross or a shot, you should be absolutely busting a gut, breaking your neck to block it or confront him, make it hard for him. And you watch those moments back, he's just jogging towards it without like a care in the world.
Elliott's goal.
The Elliott's goal, and I think for the first goal, he's just standing there, not watching Gakpo cross the ball, not doing anything. He wasn't the only one, but he's one of them. And, you know, if you're a defensive midfielder at this level, you need to have that level of aggression and a level of concentration where you can't let those moments just pass you by and allow them to happen. You have to get involved and you have to be closing them down. That's something that I've been critical of Bissouma for a number of weeks now, stuff like that. I also have criticisms about him, especially in the first half, of hiding when we're taking goal kicks. I'm watching it. I was sitting row 1, and we're taking these goal kicks short, and he's hiding behind the Liverpool midfielder, behind him. You should be fighting to step in front of him, showing yourself, getting on the ball, being confident that you can hold the ball under pressure, turn out of it. That's what he was doing earlier in the season. Now, not only is he not doing that, he's hiding behind the players, doesn't even want the ball. And I'm like, you can't be doing that if you're going to be playing this position in this system. You can't be doing that. That's unacceptable. What I would say is the reason he hasn't got lower than 5, because there was some good stuff on the ball from him when he was able to get some space. And I thought actually in the last 20 minutes, he was really good.
He started the game well as well.
He started the game. I just thought in those last 20 minutes, he was spraying some lovely passes out wide to the wingers, something that I've been critical of him not doing enough. But maybe he was starting to show he does have a better passing range than we give him credit for. Well, in that period, he definitely did. He played some really great switches and really put us on the front foot. And I thought he was starting to dominate a bit in that centre and really played some nice passing moves with Lo Celso and Maddison as well in the centre. So a lot better in those last 20 minutes, but for a lot of the game, he frustrated me a lot.
Rodrigo Bentancur up next, 4s all round, started the game as the most advanced midfielder and couldn't impact the game whatsoever. I thought he started the game okay with some, the silky moves that you like to see Bentancur do. But I feel like this has been a common trait in Bentancur's every time he started, where he starts, you're like, all right, Bentancur's here to play today, and then progressively just gets worse and worse throughout the game. I don't know if that's due to him still coming back from those 2 long injuries or whatever, but he's just not really at the races at the moment.
Yeah, I don't know whether he just can't sustain his levels due to, he's still recovering from that long-term injury, but he can't seem to play for longer than 20 minutes at the moment at like a really high level. And especially I think where it really hurts him is off the ball. I think he's way too easy to run past. He doesn't really have the legs to keep up at the moment with players running past him and getting into the box. And I also feel like, again, when we're supposed to be defending behind the ball, he's not doing enough to put pressure on the opposition. You saw how easy it was for Elliott to just stride past him and get the shot off. The difference why I didn't criticise, I'm not mad at Bentancur for that compared to like Bissouma, as at least you see Bentancur trying to get close to him. He just didn't have the energy to do it. Basuma wasn't even trying. That's why I'm more critical of that. But it was way too easy for Elliott to stride past Bentancur and score that goal. And I just feel like at the moment off the ball, it's a bit, that's the biggest concern with Bentancur at the moment. He just doesn't seem to have the energy and the intensity levels to keep up with the play right now. It's happened many times in recent weeks where that's happened. So that's where it's costing us. On the ball, he is showing signs of quality. I don't think it's ever going to work great when he's the most advanced midfielder. I'm not saying he doesn't have offensive abilities. He does, but not to the level to be our most creative player, and that's why we couldn't create anything.
Yeah. Going into the forward line, Kulusevski, 4s all round for Decky. I mean, he was anonymous really from an attacking perspective on that right-hand side. I thought maybe we could have started him on the left and Johnson on the right, because Johnson as well on the left doesn't seem anywhere near as comfortable with them when he's on the right. But if you look at Kulusevski's stats, it's just 0, 0, 0, 0 for everything, for any sort of attacking aspect. So it was like the Arsenal game was like one step forward and then there's 2 steps back with the Chelsea performance and now this performance here. So I am starting to massively worry about Kulusevski in terms of where he fits in this squad. There was a report in midweek or a couple of days ago, I think on the weekend, saying that they do want to keep Kulusevski around for next season, but he's got to massively improve if he wants to stay here and keep his spot in the team.
But the funny thing is with Decky, I felt like what was hurting him the most in this game is the fact that he was doing what Ange wants from his wingers, which is stay wide and hold the width. And when he does that and he becomes isolated, then it becomes a problem, because he's not that kind of player who can just dominate a one-on-one battle like that. And what he was actually doing against Arsenal is something that Ange doesn't want his wingers to do, but was actually what he's good at, which is get involved centrally, knit the play, find different spaces, pockets of spaces in those central areas.
Ball carrying ability, winning the ball back.
Yeah, winning the ball back. And when he's out wide, connect with other players. Yesterday he was way too isolated. And when that happens, we know he's not the quickest. He's strong, he can hold the ball, but when you're a final third player and we need to get the ball in the box, we need to be creating chances, and you're very isolated with space, he's not the kind of player who's going to dominate that space like that. And so it was very difficult for him to be effective when not many people were around him. Obviously defensively as well, I thought he got back in position well, but for one reason or other, he's making some really odd decisions when he got there, especially with that second goal. I don't know what he's doing when Robertson's clearly running into the back post about to volley it, and he's just running away from Robertson rather than going towards him and marking him. Really odd decision from Kulu. Again, maybe another brain fart. I don't know what was going on with him, but really odd. Rightfully taken off. Should have been earlier. Anonymous display.
Yeah, Brennan Johnson, 5s all round for Brennan. Started on the left-hand side of the attack, and I thought he was pretty anonymous when he did get the ball. He couldn't really do anything with it, failed to take on his man. But I felt like when he did move over to the right-hand side and Spurs were looking good in the final 20 minutes, he was actually pretty good, putting the really good ball for Richarlison with a brilliant finish from him. And he was a bit of a threat in those last 20 minutes. But for the first 70, I thought he was shocking.
Yeah, on the left, again, obviously he's had one good performance on the left this season.
Against Villa,
away.
yeah.
And other than that, he's been shocking in that position, to be honest. Because he's not the kind of winger who's going to go down on his left foot and put a good ball in like Werner. I don't think he has as good a left foot as Werner. So he's not that effective. Like Trent dealt with him very easily when he was going down the outside. He's also not the kind of winger who's going to cut inside and bend it in with his right foot, because he doesn't have that kind of finesse with his shooting. And he's not the most creative way he can link the play in that sense as well. So on the left, he was extremely ineffective. I thought against Chelsea, once he moved over to the left, he became extremely ineffective. And the same thing happened in this game. He was terrible in those positions. I also thought he didn't help out Emerson at all whatsoever. He just threw Emerson to the wolves, and Emerson was basically got overloaded constantly, and Johnson was just not doing anything about it. He was holding his position high up the pitch. I don't know whether that was instruction or not, but he wasn't helping Emerson whatsoever, pretty much on that side. So he definitely gets marked down for that. But yeah, he was better in the last 20 minutes. He got a classic Johnson assist, I think we have to call it now, with that ball across the face of goal to Richarlison. What was that, the third goal, fourth goal he's done like that to Rishi?
Yeah,
so he's done
maybe
it a few
even more.
times now. So that was good. And obviously he nearly got on the end of another one, which he could have won, which we didn't mention. That's a penalty for me, I think. I think Joe Gomez is his foot high. I think if that happens in the opposite penalty area where Gomez is trying to score, 10 times out, or I wouldn't even say 9 times out, 10 times out of 10, that's a penalty, that's a foul and a free kick to the defending team. You're not allowed to put your foot up like that. So why are you allowed to do that in that position?
Does he make contact?
He does. Looked to me like he did. He looked to me like he did touch the ball. Even if he doesn't, it's still a foul.
What was was there big shouts in the away end for a penalty?
Oh yeah.
There? Do you think
Very big shouts.
Did it look like a penalty?
And then VAR said they were looking at it, and they seemed to look at it for a bit, but I don't know what the commentators thought. I understand from Defino wasn't. I understand from Gomez's point of view, the ball's about to fall to him. Unless he kicks it, then he's not going to get there and it's going to be a goal. So he doesn't have too much option. But what I would say is, what are the rules on high foot then? What are the rules on high? Are you allowed to put your high foot if someone's about to score? Then you're allowed to use a high foot?
There was another one at Anfield last year, wasn't there, with the high foot on OLLIE SKIPP where he needed stitches. I mean, there seems to be these decisions every single year at Anfield, to be fair.
But if it's not a pen, what's the rule on high foot? Is the rule on high foot that you're not allowed to try and score with a high foot, but you're allowed to defend with a high foot?
Let's be real. There seems to be a different set of rules in each and every individual Premier League game this season. I mean, the inconsistencies that we're seeing game on game. I mean, that Arsenal one with the goalkeeper on the weekend just pissed me off so much because it's just like, how many goals have we conceded like that? And the inconsistencies are just mental. They really are throughout the season. I still haven't. I mean, it's got to be a penalty, I guess, if it's a high foot.
If high foot's an offence, it's a penalty. What I don't know, what are the rules on a high foot? I don't know what the rules are. I didn't know there was a rule that if the ball's about to go in the back of the net, then you can use a high foot. Is that the rule?
Apparently now. Only when it's against Spurs.
If that's the rule, then yeah, it's not a penalty. But the reality is Johnson's about to head it in, and he kicks it, and I think he does make contact with Johnson's head. For sure, because Johnson stayed down, and on the replay, there does seem contact. Yes, he does win the ball, to be fair, Gomez. But does that mean you're allowed to use a high foot as long as you win the ball? So you are allowed to overhead kick it? In the opposition box, as long as you get the ball first? Is that the rule?
Yeah, they change the rules whenever you go to Anfield.
So for me, from what I understand from high foot, is you're not allowed to use a high foot endangering opponents where they're putting their head. That's what I understood high foot is. If that's the rule, that's a penalty. So I don't understand how it's not. How isn't it?
Yeah, I agree with you. But we move on to Heung-min Son. Sim gives him a 7. I gave him a 6. I mean, I was really frustrated with Sonny for the first opening hour, 65 minutes. I felt like him in the number 9 position couldn't make anything stick. I felt he was getting crowded out every single time he got the ball. No real quality that we saw in the opening hour, 65 minutes. But when he went over to the left-hand side, he just caused Trent so many more problems than what Brennan Johnson was doing all game. I felt he was attacking the space. He was using his dribbling really well. Obviously got in the positions to score that goal in the last stages of the game, which makes it 4 goals in consecutive years for Heung-min Son at Anfield. First player, I think, ever to do that, which is crazy to think about. But first 65 minutes, really poor, but I think he came alive in the last stages of the game and played really well.
Yeah, I thought that for the latter stages, he was really impressive, actually. Like, he was beating players like consistently, which in a manner I haven't seen him do for a long time.
Since Newcastle.
I thought Trent was having a really hard time. He was cutting inside. He was weaving in and out of players. They couldn't really stop him. It was really hard to get near him. I don't know whether that chance... Obviously, it was given offside. I don't know on replay it was. There was that chance Rishi ran in behind, squared it to Son, and he obviously had it saved from Alisson.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was offside or not.
Was it given offside?
It was given, but I don't know if like VAR got it wrong or something.
I think it was offside. I think it was.
Okay, so that could because obviously that could have been the goal there. What I would say is there was a bit of frustration on a couple of occasions where he probably could have passed it quicker. He cut inside and then had options in the box and could have maybe passed it a bit quicker, and maybe there would have been more opportunities. But he did some. Not only was he doing some really good stuff dribbling, but on the ball as well. Some really great passes in behind to Richarlison. I thought he was doing there were some really good crosses as well on the left-hand side. There was one across the face of goal, which if someone gambled, maybe there could have been a goal there. Nice finish for the goal he did score. I thought he linked up really well with Maddison on that side as well when Maddison came on. Really great last 20 minutes. But yeah, the first 70, he was anonymous, really struggled, couldn't get involved in the game. Couldn't link play with anyone as well, was getting bullied left, right and centre by Quansah and Van Dijk. It was very easy for them to bully him. He wasn't running in behind and stretching it. I thought Liverpool deliberately played a deeper line to stop him doing that, and it worked. So definitely his best performance off the left-hand side since that Newcastle game. So that was encouraging from that point of view, but disappointing with his performance down the centre.
Yeah, so I guess for the remainder of the season, are you persisting with that? Son on the left, Rishi up top?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, look, we played that against Chelsea. Wasn't exactly great, and he was bullied by Gilchrist. But I think recently, that's where we've looked our best, with him off the left and Rishi down the centre. So for now, I think we have to persist with that.
He keeps chopping and changing throughout the season. It's just such a perplexing one.
I do think Son's best position is centrally. I do believe that. But I think for now, that's what we've got to do.
But I do think it's madness to play Son down the middle when there's no creator in the midfield. It's always going to hamper him.
Yeah, 100%. You're not going to find him in behind if you're not got the players to spot the runs.
Exactly. Richarlison, who came on in the second half, Sim gives him a 7. I gave him an 8. I thought he massively changed the course of the game. He came on with a real energy about him, got a goal, brilliant finish, by the way. It really was a brilliant finish, and grabbed an assist as well for Sonny's goal. And yeah, there are a few sloppy moments in there from Richarlison, but I thought fundamentally he did his job really well. Kind of was leading the charge, wasn't he, against Liverpool, and changed the course of the game. So you got to give him massive credit.
Definitely, and I thought it was a really great cameo. Was unlucky not to get a second goal after a great save from Alisson, and nearly looped into the back of the net if it wasn't for that high foot from Gomez. And he was actually a threat in behind. He was actually a bit of presence. He made it stick a bit, and actually, when we played the ball into him, his flicks were a bit better this time around than they were on Thursday, where his flicks were actually finding teammates rather than just giving the ball away constantly. Brilliant finish for his goal. There was a few moments where he ran in behind Van Dijk as well, and if his decision making was a bit better, we could have made more opportunities. But at least he was stretching Van Dijk and asking different questions over the top. Really good cameo, and definitely changed course of it. And if that goal goes in at that time to make it 4-3, who knows? We could have got back in the game. We could have got a result there. So really good.
Particularly if we got the penalty.
Yeah, exactly. So really good cameo from Richarlison. Really happy with him. But all these people saying oh yeah, why didn't he start? I get it, but he started on Thursday and he was shite. So
yeah, but Ange said he couldn't start 2 games in the space of a week.
Okay, there you go. That's your answer. But it's not I'm just saying it's not like Rishi starting centre is like a catch-all saviour to us. You know what I mean? Because he also has bad.
We always go through this every season with these players out of the team. It's like, if he would have started, it would have been so much better. But then they play and then it's shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's move on to Ollie. Skipp, 8th all round, came on in a new role for him, an inverted left back role, and he just did so much better than Emerson. Fundamentals were spot on. He came on, showed he showed like he wanted it, didn't he? He's sprinting back, and the only player that did that throughout the whole 90 minutes for us, and showing that he wanted the need to defend, and he did that really well up against Salah. And he had his hand in the goals as well. I thought he was a real bright spark, and he's, in my opinion, he's got to start that position now for the foreseeable last 3 games of the season. Yeah,
I thought it was a really good cameo from him. Really gave a bit of assurance. What he gave was just a bit of composure on the ball. Someone with didn't have to be outstanding quality, just someone who could keep the ball and pass it to a teammate and progress the ball forward comfortably. And it's something that Emerson just wasn't able to do whatsoever. Someone comfortable on the ball in central areas. Someone brave to try and nick the ball up high, get into those attacking positions and not just shit the bed when he gets there, have some sort of presence of mind. I'm not asking him to stick it in the top corner, just pass it to a teammate in a good position and, you know, allow them to use their best at work. And that's what he did consistently and really well. He obviously involved in that second goal, got into the attacking position, found Richarlison, and, you know, the rest was history. We end up getting that second goal. So really good cameo from Skipp. I always believed that these fullback roles profile quite well with midfielders, so I don't see a reason why a midfielder wouldn't be able to do that role. And Skipp came on and did it admirably. So I do want to see Ange persist with using midfielders in those positions if we don't have the fullbacks available.
Yeah. James Maddison up next. Sim gives him a 7. I gave him a 6. He was one of the players as well that came on and completely changed the game. He was getting on the ball. He was looking to make stuff happen. I just felt like in a certain few moments when we were really in the ascendancy, his passing and his shooting really did let him down on the day. But doesn't take away from the fact that he was a key reason why Spurs did look on top in those final 20 minutes.
Yeah, I thought it was a bright cameo. I thought he got really in and amongst the ball in higher up the pitch this time, was using the ball quite well on the edge of the area with some creative passes down on the left-hand side. His shooting was a bit off. Obviously, he won a free kick and then decided to take it himself. He had a bit of an argument with Porro over it. He won out, but obviously his free kick went into the wall. His other shot, I think, again, 25 yards, but it was pretty easy for Alisson to claim it straight down his throat. So that was simple. But I did think he was a really positive influence in our build-up, playing the ball quicker with more purpose, getting us onto Liverpool's back four more consistently. And I thought once he got the ball in that final third, he was, looking fairly sharp, and he was finding teammates. He was building up play. But as you say, wasn't able to really provide that killer moment, which if we did, would have really got us back in the game.
Yeah, and finally of the substitutes, Giovanni Lo Celso. Sim gives him a 7. I gave him a 6. Again, came on, showed what he was about. He was aggressive. He was winning quite a lot of fouls as well, high up the pitch. Created a chance. I mean, what more does this guy need to do with all the cameos that he has had in the last 3 or 4 weeks to show he can't start in this team where every single midfield player is not performing for the team? And we just look so much better on a progressive basis, on an attacking basis, when him and Maddison were alongside each other in that midfield.
Yeah, and we looked a lot better in possession. We just looked a lot better getting the ball forward. We just basically, what it meant is like when we had the ball, we were making use of our good football that we were playing. It just seems as like at the moment, when we're playing this good football, we get to the final third and there's just nothing to it. We're very blunt. And yet when we had Maddison and Lo Celso there, we looked creative. We looked like we were hard to stop all of a sudden. And that's why I implore Ange just to double down on his attacking approach. If he's going to go this attacking, double down on it and go play the attacking players rather than, playing the attacking football with players who don't seem to be able to break teams down. Lo Celso really bright, linked up really well Maddison and Basuma and the likes of Richarlison and Son as well. We've moved the ball forward a lot quicker and we were looking very, very bright. So I thought it was a really good cameo from Gio.
Yep. And what I also like about Gio is just like how he's so aggressive and he wins all his duels as well, where not a lot of our midfielders are doing that on a consistent basis. So that's another reason why we were on top in those last 20 minutes. But let's finish off talking about Ange Postecoglou. We're giving him a 4. And for a few weeks in a row now, I think he got the team selection wrong. Emerson was obviously a key part of that. After the showing that he showed at Stamford Bridge, getting taken to the cleaners by Noni Madueke, why did Ange think it was going to be any different against the likes of Mohamed Salah? In fact, it was even worse by a considerable amount. So that was obviously wrong. The rest of the defenders, it is what it is. Like Romero, Van de Ven, Porro all should have played. The midfield, I thought he got completely wrong once again. I thought Lo Celso should have played, potentially Maddison as well. The wings, he played Kulusevski and Johnson, and I was saying before the game, why not just play Johnson on the right and Kulusevski out on the left? And if Kulusevski is gonna be that touchline winger, surely it's gonna be better on the left than it will on the right, using his favoured foot on the outside. Obviously that didn't happen. The changes that he did make in the game game. I felt like they were the right changes, but they happened too late. Changes needed to be happened at half-time. 2-0 down, could have been a lot more. You could see we were desperately in trouble. So the changes had to happen at half-time, in my opinion. But like I said, the changes were right. But you got to look at the team, and you got to look at the attitude that they're showing. You got to look at the fight they're showing. You got to look at the belief that they're showing. And unfortunately, the buck does stop with the manager, and he is not instilling, for some reason, the belief in the team that he once was.
Yeah. This is one of the first games, or one of the only games, where I really feel like it was Ange's actual team selection hampered us a lot. I think he did get it totally wrong, especially in that midfield. I think that was totally wrong. That midfield, and I think it really hampered us throughout the game, and it cost us that opening exchanges. What's a bit frustrating is it keeps happening where he waits for the game to be gone before he changes it. Happened in Newcastle, waited till it was 3-0 before he changed it. Happened at Fulham, waited till it was 3-0 before he changed it. Happened
Did it happen at Brighton as well?
Happened at Brighton. It was 4-0 pretty much before things changed, and it happened again in this one. So that was really, really frustrating. Yes, he did change it positively, and the change he did make did have a real positive impact on the game, and as well putting Skipp at left back, which is something which was a bit creative, and it worked really well. So that was good. And you never know if another chance in those last 10 minutes goes in, and maybe we make it 4-3, which we did have chances to do. We could be sitting here on the back of a famous comeback. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. And Ange has to take responsibility for how we competed for those first 70 minutes, because we were dreadful. And I thought his selection was a big part of why we looked that bad as well. So I think he has to take responsibility for that, and responsibility for how we've been playing in recent weeks.
What did you make out of his comments after the game? Did you see them?
Which one specifically?
When he was talking about how it was a lot better than what we showed in the last 2 away games, and against Chelsea and then against Newcastle, where we were actually able to play our football. I
wouldn't go as far as to say I was impressed by it. I did think just purely on was our football better? Definitely in the last 20 minutes it was. Because we weren't even doing that in the last 20 minutes, that's for sure.
But he was talking about the first half as well.
I did think some of our approach play was a lot better, to be honest, than it was in those other games against Chelsea and Newcastle. I actually did. But unfortunately, our approach play was better, but our final third play was just as bad. So it didn't really make a difference how good our approach play was.
He did say that as well, to be fair.
Yeah, so I think he is right. I did think we played through their midfield a lot better than we were in the other games, but it didn't make a difference, unfortunately, and we defended just as badly. So, yeah, I get what he's trying to say, but it's a little scant consolation, I would say.
Yeah. All right, well, those are the player ratings on the post-mortem from Anfield.